Welcome back. In this session, I wanted to discuss something that is very common, unfortunately, among artists, and I think artists from all kinds of arts. Okay, not just music. I think acting, uh, painting. Go down the list, dancing, whatever. I think it's the inability to be objective. With our own work. Okay, very hard. This is a very, very difficult thing to get right or to even get it at all. I don't know if any of us ever arrive at that point where we can objectively say, you know what, this is a good song, or nah, this song is like, yeah, that's no good. Like as far as our own taste goes, I guess we all of us are there. You can say, you know what, for me, this is good or this is not good, or I like it or I don't, right? Of course, we all have an opinion. But what I mean is being objective enough to listen for the other guy, your audience. So, how are they going to hear your song? How is it going to come across to them? How are they going to perceive it? It's a very, very tough thing to sit there and be objective enough to say that this song will appeal to people or it won't or whatever. It's got the magic sauce or it doesn't have it. And that's why obviously in especially professional recording environments, you have a producer, obviously the engineer is there, musicians as well, whether it's your band or whether it's session musicians. Everybody sort of contributes, and that's the advantage, I guess, of being in a band. There's four of you or five of you or whatever, and there's some objectivity there. Okay, but even a band can fall victim to this problem where they think this song is amazing, right? It's going to be a huge hit. And then it just doesn't resonate with anybody. That happens a lot. And it's just a question of having terminals around you that will give you the correct feedback, the right feedback. And this is a tricky one. I've talked about this before about, asking family and friends. We talked about this kind of thing before, but it was about plagiarism, how to be sure if the song has been done or not before. You ask people, and you need to obviously trust in their opinion, trust that they understand the genre, right, that you're writing in, and they can give you an opinion whether, yeah, this sounds like this artist or that artist. If you're playing alternative, you're writing an alternative song and their favorite genre is country, they're not going to be very valuable in telling you whether that song has been done before or not. Okay. But in that same sense, you can ask people that you know and trust to tell you whether the song is any good or not. That's a tough one. And that's a much tougher question to ask, especially family and friends, because they'll always gravitate towards telling you that it's good. It's great. It's fantastic, man. Even though they don't really believe that. So it's a very difficult thing. Nobody wants to knock anybody down. Nobody wants to say, hey, your song sucks, or I don't like it, or, whatever, right? Nobody wants to be harsh. Nobody wants to be critical in that way. And to be honest with you, they shouldn't be. But if you have a couple of people, like I have two people that I trust implicitly to give me that big S word, it sucks. I don't like it, Now, you got to understand that some people will say that to bring you down. And the arts tend to attract people that tend to bring artists down. You got to be very careful with that, that negative criticism where it's just negative for the sake of being negative and to destroy you, really. That is their intention. They don't want you to succeed. Okay, there are people like that. You want to stay away from those people, obviously. It's not always easy to spot. Right? It's not always easy to spot that someone is giving you honest criticism or not, but you have to find people. Like I said, I've got two of them. I know for sure. And by the way, they also love the same genres that I love. Okay. We're in that same field. One of them is a musician. The other one is not. Okay. So, and that's also important. Don't always stick to musicians. Or people that are not musicians. You try and mix it up if possible. But the most important thing is to actually find people whose opinion you trust and that they're going to give you an honest answer. Like, hey man, this is good. This is like, and you can even see it. Sometimes they didn't even have to say anything. You can see it. I recently played a song for a few people that I finished up, finished the production, finished everything. I felt it was a really good song. And these particular people, we were in the car listening to the song. I didn't, like, after all these years, I can tell. They didn't even have to say anything. They didn't have to open their mouths. They have to say nothing. I can tell by the reaction, I can tell. Because when a song is really great, when it's really amazing, you're going to see it in people. They don't have to say it in words. You're going to see it from their reaction, the look on their face, even tears sometimes. They can't help themselves. They will react in a positive way. And conversely, they'll react in a neutral or negative way if the song is not doing anything for them. Okay? So that's a very important point to remember. When you're writing a song, reach out to people, because for an artist to be objective enough to say, I know whether the song is good or not, that's almost impossible to do, to step outside of yourself and sort of take on that position of others. How are others going to perceive this song? You're too close to it. There's no way that you can do it. It's really, really very hard. I mean, I guess some people do have that judgment. And, look, I'll tell you the Beatles as an example, what the Beatles used to do, because for the Beatles, when they were writing together, before they broke up, obviously, what they used to do, first of all, their goal was to write the catchiest, hookiest song they can write. Okay? That was their goal. Pop, rock, and catchy, hooky, something that's going to stick in your mind and you can't let go of it. It's just going to play over and over and over again. That was their goal at some point. Okay? And what they did is they would sit down, they'd have a writing session, John and Paul, and the rest of the band, but sometimes just John and Paul or whoever was in the room, and they're sitting there, fiddling around with the guitar, with the piano, with different ideas, and they would come across something that they would like, or something that they thought, hey, this got some potential there, They wouldn't do anything with it. They'd leave it. They wouldn't record it on a cassette or anything. Back then it was cassettes or reel to reel. I don't know. This is the 60s. So, but whatever the case, they would not put it down on paper or anything. They would get the idea, play it a couple of times, say, hey, man, that sounds pretty good, pretty catchy, pretty whatever. I like it. Put it to the test. What was the test? They'd sleep on it. They'd sleep on it. Wake up the next day. If you woke up the next day and the song is still going in your head, you remember it from yesterday, it's a keeper. That was their test. See, that's a workaround to being objective, because you can't be objective. But this is almost as good as getting other people's reaction almost in real time. Because if it sticks, and that was their goal, by the way, right? So not everybody has that goal of writing the hookiest, catchiest song you can write. Okay, but assuming that it is, they found that solution to figure out whether a particular melody that they wrote was catchy enough. If they woke up the next morning and they remembered it, it was a keeper. If they didn't, they didn't. It's gone. Next. Okay? So that's a little workaround there that they used to use, but that just goes to show that being objective is very difficult. Even for a band, sometimes the band gets into this mode. They write the song and they all believe in it so much, they feel it's incredible, but in reality, it ain't that great. And who's going to be the judge of that? Well, if you're a commercial band, if you're a commercial act, if you want to have commercial success, there's only one judge of whether your song is good or not, and it's the people out there, right? Because that's it. That's if that is your goal, of course. If that's not your goal, it's all good. You don't have to worry about it. You write for yourself, for your immediate family and friends, for your own satisfaction. Okay? That's a legitimate thing. Nothing wrong with that. If that's your goal and you're just writing for you, well, you need to decide whether you love the song or not. Right? So then it's up to you. And that can happen. And that does happen. That's happened to me many times over the years. In other words, I write a song I love it. I'm like, oh man, I love this song. I can't get enough of it. I can't stop playing it. I write it. I write the lyrics. I write everything. Everything fits beautifully together. It's just, I love it. I play it for other people. Doesn't connect. Doesn't connect. They don't like it. I'm like, really? I'm surprised. Very surprised. What happened? I don't know. But they don't like it. And that is it. Why? Nobody knows why, okay? Don't try and figure out, why someone doesn't like a piece of art, okay? Whether that's music, paintings, whatever. If it doesn't connect with people, it doesn't connect. That's it. That's it. Trying to analyze it, some people do. Some people try to analyze why a song failed or why a song is super successful, and it's just a waste of time, in my opinion. You're never going to figure out why a number one hit was a number one hit. Why Billie Jean of Michael Jackson's was on the charts for God knows how many weeks in the 80s. You'll never figure that one out. You can never analyze that because it's operating on another wavelength. It's operating on another level of communication that you can't even describe in words. There's no way. You can only feel it. You can only connect with it spiritually, whatever you want to call it. But it's beyond words. It's beyond explanation. Okay? So that's not going to happen where you're going to sit there and figure out, well, why don't they like my song? I love the song. They hate it. Why? What happened? What have I missed here? Don't worry about it. What I've done, you keep the song. I've kept songs that nobody liked. I love them. And I still play them to this day. I love them. But I'm the only fan. Okay? I'm the only fan. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm good enough to be the only fan. I don't mind because I'm playing it for myself. I love it. But I'm not disillusioned in the idea that, other people are going to love it. I put it to the test already and they don't. So that's the end of that story. Okay? So that's really, really important to keep in mind as well. You might love it and they won't. And conversely, they might love a song that you thought wasn't any good. This has happened so many times in albums where they thought, okay, we'll put the song in last call, like at the last minute as an album filler, and it becomes a hit. I can't think of any at the top of my head right now, but I promise you just Google it. It's just there are examples, too many to count, okay, where they got it wrong. What did they get wrong? They got wrong what other people are going to like because you don't know. And record companies never knew. Record companies used to take huge chances with bands. Most of them wouldn't work out. But you wouldn't know. How are you supposed to know what other people are going to like? Nobody knew. A&R people, the greatest musicologists that they could find, anybody, the most successful bands did not know whether the next song they wrote would vibe with people until it was out there with people. You just don't know. You can't predict it. It's an incredible thing. It really is. And even after many years of experience, even being in rooms with top producers, top artists, people that have had hits, people that have been around big albums, mixed big albums, they don't know either. They don't know. Some predicted that the album was going to be a success. They were like, man, that's going to be a big one. I could feel it. Slippery When Wet, Bon Jovi. They felt it. They were like, this is going to be big, right? But that's rare. And they were right. But that's rare. More often than not, nobody knows what's going to happen. And sometimes with a particular song, it might vibe with you and not vibe with others, or vibe with others and not vibe with you. You just don't know. If you feel the song is good enough, write it, record it, okay? Get feedback from people you know in your area. First of all, is it close to anything? If you're not sure, of course, like for plagiarism reasons, you want to be sure. If you have any doubts, always ask, always check with people. And then, hey, is this good? What do you think? I'm not sure about it. If you're not sure and they're not sure, probably walk away. Okay? But if you're sure and they're sort of, yeah, it might be good, go ahead and record it. Okay? Because once it's done and produced, it might hit. But if they're like, nah, that's not vibing with me. And with you, it's not, just forget it, right? Move on. So you got to use some judgment there, but being objective is super difficult. Okay, I strongly advise against it. Okay, against trying to be objective. It's so hard, and more often than not, you're let down and you're disappointed because you thought something was going to go a particular way and it didn't. But that's just the way it goes. That's the nature of this business of ours. It's art. It's not something that you could analyze and pick apart and put your finger on why it worked or why it didn't work. Forget it. You can't do that. It's too fluid. It's too, I don't know. You can't grab it. It's got to touch you. You got to feel it or not, So that's something to keep in mind, definitely. Okay. And another thing I would say is to avoid yes people. All right. We've all got them in our lives. And usually they come in the shape of friends and family, right? They'll agree to anything you say. If you say, I don't think it's that good, they'll say, yeah, probably not. I love this song. Yeah, it's really good. What do you think of this song? Where you're looking for an opinion, but you're sort of like, what do you think? I put so much work into it. That kind of vibe. Oh, it's great. Amazing. Wow. Stay away from those people. Okay. They're well-intentioned, but they're not helpful at all. Okay. When it comes to, getting an honest reaction, honest feedback, there's zero value in that. The yes people, you know them, right? And they'll agree to a lot of things. And especially when it comes to art, they want to be supportive. They want to be whatever, right? And that is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. That is a good confidence booster. They can give you that confidence when you need it sometimes and lift you up and come to your gigs and, support you, right? And buy a release or listen to it on Spotify or wherever you're going to release it. So I'm not knocking them, but don't take whatever they say like seriously. Like if you need an honest opinion, if you're not sure, if you're like, man, I don't know with this song, don't go to the yes people. Don't go to the yes people because they're going to tell you whatever you want to hear. Okay. So don't do that, and it's just like, use your common sense, right? And take criticism on board. Don't be one of those people that is like, I know best. Okay. This is a great song. You don't know what you're talking about. I know better than you, and like trust people. Right? As long as you're getting honest feedback. And to be honest with you, the best feedback you'll ever get is from people that have no skin in the game. Not family, not friends, don't even know you, are not producers or anything, not engineers or mixers on your album, are not contributing to your album at all. In other words, our real audience. That's your best feedback. That is the one that you need to trust. Because they've got nothing to lose. They don't care either way. They'll love it or they won't. The only thing they care about is the song, the moment. Do they like it or not? And the best way to get that kind of feedback, of course, is still playing live. Okay? Doing it live, right? Grabbing your guitar, grabbing your instrument, a band, whatever you've got, okay, and playing it live. If you don't play an instrument, if you're not a musician per se, right, a performing musician, get someone else to play it for you. If you're just a songwriter, which is cool, a lot of people are, right? They just write songs. Well, hook up with some musicians, hook up with some bands, some artists that are willing to take your song and play it. Maybe not even release it under their name, maybe not, necessarily collaborate in that way. They don't have to, they could. Ideally, that'd be the best setup, of course. Right? You write the songs, they play them, and you have some agreement, some contract in place. Yeah? But they don't have to. They could just do you a favor if you know them well enough. Say, hey, guys, during your gig tonight, can you squeeze in the song, rehearse it a little bit, let them play it a little bit. If it's not too complex, pop, rock, whatever, they could play it. And look at the audience. Look at the people in the club. Right? Because that's your best measuring stick. There is nothing better than actual people, audience, right? That's it. That's what it is. Assuming, of course, that that's your goal, right? Assuming that your goal is to reach these people, to sell to them, to be commercially successful. right? Assuming that that's the case. If it's not the case, don't worry about it. If it's not the case, just write, man. Just write and enjoy it and love it and just, enjoy that moment, because it is a beautiful thing. We're very blessed to be able to write and to explore that world of art that is, there's nothing like it, really. So whatever your goals are, though, if you do want feedback, if you do want some, constructive criticism from anywhere, just make sure you're going to the right people. Just make sure you're going to the right people. Like I said, I've got two, only two. Aside from, when we do release something commercially, that's different, okay? We look at the numbers, we look at whatever. But on a personal level, in my environment, my immediate environment, I got two people. That's it. One's a musician, one is not, and I go to them, and I can trust them, and they will be honest with me, and they have been over the years. Only two. Out of all the people I've worked with and all the contacts I have and all the whatever, it's just two of them that I go to. Okay? So I hope you can find people like that as well. And when you need them, when you need that feedback, you can go to them and you can trust them. Because it's a very valuable thing to be able to approach someone, to play something for them, and to know, and to also watch. Okay? It doesn't matter. Even those two, when I play for them live, when I can see their reaction, sometimes I can't, sometimes I just send them the file. But when I'm there and I can see them, I watch. Okay, I want to see, am I touching him? You can see it. All right, you can see it when you're actually moving someone, when they feel it, right? They're like, you can tell, there's that emotional thing that happens, and it's a beautiful thing. So keep an eye out for that, right? But guys, we'll leave it there. I hope that helped you guys out, and I'll see you next time.